The best part of your week is about to begin. This is the time where we talk shop, swap stories, and share lessons from our wild adventures in the creative industry. With each and every lovingly crafted episode, we strive to bottle that magic, warm, electric feeling you get after coffee with a new friend or attending a fantastic breakout session at a creative conference. You might start as strangers, but you'll leave as friends. Buckle up, settle in, and get ready for this episode of Freelance Fridays. Hello and welcome, gang, to another episode of Freelance Fridays, the show where we get creatives together and ask them one big question. I am joined, as always, by my fantastic co-host, Ashley. Every project is free on Black Friday. Ulmer!
For me, every project that I do on Black Friday? Well,
Yeah,
I mean, I
remember
won't
when
be
you told
working on
me-
Black Friday, so they can try, but I won't be available, so I'm sorry.
I thought you had promised the people all projects will be completed within 24 hours and they're all free on Black Friday. Is
Yeah,
that true?
on Thanksgiving and on Christmas Eve too. Like those are the 2 days that it's free.
Honey, shut up. Mommy's got to ship 30 t-shirts today.
Let's get it done.
I love it.
How's it going?
It's going good. As you can see, the mustache is in full bloom. It's looking wispy as ever. And we're joking before we got on today. It looks like I've like made out with like axle grease or something, or like the stash. Zeke's talking about it in the comments.
The stash.
If you
All I
guys
know is with like my husband, because when I met him, he didn't have a mustache or a beard, but he's had a beard now for probably almost 10 years, minus when he was in the military. And I refuse to let him shave it. Like I like his face perfect with his beard and
Covered
mustache.
up.
Like he can't be without it. Like it just can't happen.
I love that. I would grow a full like beard if I could, but you can see what's happening up here. It's rough. It looks real pervy, real vote for Pedro. What was that movie? Napoleon Dynamite. Yeah. Real scuzzy vibes happening over here. But hey, I'm committed. Every year we try and do it. Yeah. But guys, that's the episode. We talked about Josh's mustache. This has been great. Thanks for joining us.
That's it.
Ashley, what is our topic today?
We're talking about going against the grain, which I guess would kind of relate to your mustache. Like it is going against the grain, you know?
What an apt metaphor. Like it's that, because when we got this question, like even some of the guests today were like, hey, so this is a cool sounding topic, but what the heck does that mean? Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
And it's basically like things that are included in a project or a process or, you know, a way of doing things that's like feels out of place, but sometimes it's that like magic sauce to kind of push things over the edge. Like how my mustache is like truly the like the like coup de grace.
It pushes everybody over the edge. They're just like, I can't watch this anymore. I have to go.
Out. I'm all the way out. No, maybe the mustache is a bad example, but like that sometimes it's that little like unexpected weird thing that maybe the client didn't ask for, or maybe doesn't quite feel like it fits, but it ends up making it interesting. So we'll be unpacking that today. But let's go ahead and bring our fantastic guests up on stage. Oh, but before we do that, I want to drop another little reminder, guys. Next week we will have a shorter episode with just me and Ash, because we're going to do a couple of little like announcy look back at life things, and we're going to be we got a new name for the podcast, which we'll be talking about and kind of unpacking then.
Yeah, we'll be it'll be a short episode because we'll be busy working on all those free graphics on Black Friday, you know.
Yeah. Y'all hit Ashley up. Please send her DMs and emails about your specific request for her free graphics she'll be making for you on Black Friday.
Totally.
All right, let's jump into this bad boy. We are joined by Hannah Guernsey, like the cat, Allie Schaal, and none other than the illustrious Clarence K. I know I was going to butcher it. I said I was going to butcher it.
You're close.
Close. All right, help me. Close. How is it actually supposed to be said?
Kepe.
Okay, I left a K out in mine.
Kepekepe.
Okay.
And is that why you just go with K in your Instagram handle?
It's much easier.
I love that. All right, well, what we're going to do, guys, I'm going to ask you guys to all introduce yourselves for our lovely listening and watching audience. We'll go in round robin. So we'll go Ashley, Hannah, Allie, Clarence, Josh. And if you guys have seen the episodes before, you know that I literally cannot control myself. I will probably jump in between everyone and also have thoughts to share or ideas and just skip the line because I cannot be controlled and I am a child. But Hannah, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the amigos?
Yeah, I'm Hannah Guernsey. I am a full-time freelance designer. I've been in the creative industry for 7 years. I have a bachelor's in visual communication, and I specialize in merchandise, branding, event design, and social strategy.
Sorry for the awkward pause. I just realized I muted myself. That's fantastic. I'm going to pull you guys up on Instagram so folks can be perusing as we intro ourselves.
And Hannah,
Allie,
this is her second time on the show. She actually was on season 1 with Dustin and I. Yeah.
I know. So when we were doing the lives over the summer, I thought that was the case here, but yeah, y'all had all the fun without me that day.
That's right.
We did. It was the best episode we've ever had.
Now you're just trying to be spiteful. Now, I love this stuff. Are you working mostly in like, is this Procreate or is this Illustrator?
Oh, no, all Adobe. Yes.
Oh,
I haven't
Adobe,
really messed.
baby.
I own Procreate, but I haven't messed with it too much. So it's all either Illustrator or Photoshop. Normally I finish in Photoshop.
Word. I try to open Photoshop as little as possible. Like, it's a good week if I didn't open Photoshop, which is nuts because I used to like live there. Absolutely live there.
I was literally just thinking that this morning too. I was like, I literally think I could get rid of Photoshop and I could still be fine. Like, I open it maybe like twice a month.
Yeah, but
I like never use it.
Textures and certain techniques that you just can't get outside of Photoshop. So that's where I bring my files into Photoshop.
This is the Creative Church tiger. From,
Nick asked for that tiger. No one had bought that design yet, so I said, "Do you want?"
Oh, he's real nice, real nice. My Photoshop, when you open it, it's like a bunch of mock-ups and then YouTube covers is basically all that's in there anymore.
Yeah.
Allie, tell the people where you're from, what you do, what do you like, where you living these days?
I'm Allie. I live in Las Vegas. I have been freelancing for about 2 years, but have worked in churches pretty much for forever, it feels like. Mainly in graphic design, but then recently, like the past 5 years, it was just social based. So I cannot relate. I live in Photoshop. I don't know what I would do without it because I went with Illustrator to make an Instagram post. So I own a company called Heaven Sent. We just do social media for churches, pastors, nonprofits, and we just specialize in growth. So my Instagram and my business doesn't get touched very often because we're making moves on our clients' pages. So
that's it. The cobbler's children. We talked about it before. Like, the cobbler's children have no shoes because we're so busy working on everybody else's stuff. It's tough to keep it going. Clarence, how about you, my man?
So my name is Clarence K. I've been designing for 1 year and freelancing for about 9 months, I think. So yeah, I started designing just because I really wasn't aware of what I was going to be doing, like over the course of my life. So design kind of saved me in a way.
I love that. Dude. Your stuff is so fresh. And are you you're based out of South Africa, correct?
Yes.
I know some folks in South Africa and like worked with clients and people that have moved to my city, Augusta, Georgia, from there. But I don't have a really good sense of what it's like in South Africa because I've got other buddies in other countries and they're like, the United States really has like a very different approach to church than we do. And there's like a need for graphics. And is that true for you? Like, do you have church clients in South Africa? I guess is the really long way of asking that.
I wouldn't say I have church clients in South Africa. My church clients are mostly international.
Yep.
So in South Africa, it depends. So in South Africa, I mostly do logos, merch and stuff like that. I've never done a church design in South Africa.
Okay. Interesting. Cool, guys. Well, let's go ahead and jump on into our topic. So what we're going to be doing today is talking about going against the grain. Ash, do you want to kick us off here?
Sure. As you said in the beginning of the episode, I feel like this is kind of a weird topic because I was trying to think of what I would say, but the first thing that comes to mind to me as far as going against the grain is because we're all kind of involved in this same creative community online, Christians, pro-church, that type of community. And I think for me, the first thing I picture going against the grain would be creating stuff that's different than what we normally see, as far as I don't know, creating art that's kind of almost thought-provoking or almost controversial in a sense. I think that's the first thing I picture as far as is visually going against the grain, against not even against, but I mean just doing something different, to be standing out.
Dang, that's a good angle. How would you, Hannah? You were the one that asked this question, right?
Yes. I might be a fire starter. I don't know, but that's exactly, Ash. That's exactly why I sent this over to Josh, because I didn't know what I wanted to talk about. And then I created some graphics and I had some pushback, which was really, really interesting to me, because all of my designs, go on my feed, all of my personal designs to expand my reach and my growth is for the kingdom, to build the kingdom, reach the lost, inspire people, and also push my creative bounds. And, as creatives, it's our job to be trendsetters and set ourselves apart, set new standards for design, instead of going back to just text on a floral image saying, here's a Bible verse,
Yeah.
How dare you?
That's our job. That's what we are as creatives. We're here to innovate. And there was a post that I made that I received a couple comments and messages saying, this is sacrilegious.
All right, time out. So this isn't client work.
No,
this isn't client work. This is somebody coming after you for your personal projects on your feed.
Can I say, I've had that a ton throughout of stuff I've created on mine too, Hannah.
I can imagine, because if you're using more hell related imagery, skulls, or depicting death or anything, or using a literal image of a ghost, that's going to be a clear representation. The Bible says Holy Ghost, right? But to some people that is a big no-no, and that really stirred my fire, because it just kind of, why would you ever put God in a box? Why would you ever try to put God in a box? If he's going to use this to build his kingdom or to reach hearts for people who need this message or need to see how this is written out, or it's going to resonate with them, and the Lord's going to do that. I'm just creating the image. He's going to move their heart. If that's the case, why would you say anything against it? I mean, that's just my perspective, especially because art is super subjective. It's going to work well for some people, but not everybody. But at the end of the day, it just really, it really got me going. So I'm like, why?
Fired up and ready for an episode.
You know what's funny, Hannah, is the most pushback I've ever received on imagery, throughout, just design. Because a lot of the designs I make, especially on my Instagram page, are just fun and just kind of warm up things I do. But the most pushback I ever get back is when I use eyeballs, which is so funny. People are that's Illuminati, that's third eye, that's and I'm like, dude, God created eyes. I don't know. I don't see it that way, but it's just funny. People are silly.
Oh,
is this the one, Hannah?
No, that's not
Give
the
them
one.
hell.
No, that was.
I was literally looking. I was like, "What's even
little,
remotely rough here?"
Okay. If you want to know exactly which one it was, it's the ghost. It's more towards the top. It's the most recent. And what's really interesting about that, he will guide us. Yeah, and So I just came back from Europe, and they have the golden halo in all of their art. So I was a little inspired by that. I'm like, okay, I want to make something that's super easy to digest, but depicts.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Not to get into the weeds on the show today.
No. That's not what I'm trying to do at all. No, that's
what I'm trying to do.
I don't want to put God in a box. And if he's going to use that, which he clearly has based on the like count and the share count, like God used that more than some of my other designs to reach others. And a lot of people resonated with that design. And so when someone's coming, like, especially as a words of affirmation person, when someone comments is like, this isn't okay, this isn't honoring the Lord, it hurts a little bit. It's just like, that wasn't my intention. I'm here to glorify God with what I do. And it's sad, but that on the other side, how many people were reached because God used that imagery to reach people. So yeah, that's where it came from.
I love it. And if it makes you feel any better, we got down in the comments, Big Boy Lifter Daddy Muscles has got your back.
That's
love that handle. Also, guys, I feel like I say it every episode. When you jump into the comments, angels get their wings and Josh's heart swells. And if you've got an idea for another topic for an episode not today, we got one topic. It's already locked in today. For future episodes, feel free to leave those in the YouTube or do like you always do and just DM them to me privately. That's always fine as well. Hannah, there's so much to unpack here. I can't wait to help with your church hurt. It's not church hurt, it's troll hurt. It's church troll hurt. That's good. No, I think there's some casualties that happen when you're on the quote unquote like front lines of like, let's try to do things a little bit differently, whether it's, hey, I think that looks like poo poo and they just don't like it, or it's something that like ruffles some feathers from like the Harry Potter hating community. It just kind of depends.
Yeah.
Allie, let's go ahead and it's interesting actually. It's turning into like the first round of these round robins is like, we gave you a little sound bite. How do you define the question? So Allie, when you hear going against the grain, what does that make you think of?
It made me nervous because, like I said, I work primarily in social rather than, I make content, but there's like the strategy side, and social rewards you for going with the grain. You look at it and it's like, we all do the same reels, audio, and trends, and that's how you win. And it's kind of exhausting when you have like a row of clients and they're all like, well, we want to do this sound, we want this trend. And so what I do try to do is and it's like, you're not going to be first, but it's like either beat them to the ask where it's like, hey, this is going to be trending, this is trending, let's do it. Or trying things that maybe, because like I'm on TikTok all the time and some of those audios you can't use as a church. You can't. Yeah. But it's like, how
are most of your clients churches or ministries?
Oh my God, all of them. Yeah.
Okay.
All are. And so what was that? There was like a Snoop Dogg trend. I can't even remember it right now.
Sensual seduction.
Yes, fantastic. It was so
Ashley's
great.
got it ready. She's on
I know what it is. No, but can I do a little that sensual seduction? I have an Instagram for my dog and I use that song and the legit his reel is like blowing up. Like and it's like the dumbest reel ever, but it's just that song, like for whatever reason. But
did it
great reel.
Did it beat the Schitt's Creek one you did of me?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Dang it. I wanted to be the crowning jewel of Ashley's reels.
No, sorry.
Dang, big fat bummer. Wait, what's the dog's account?
I know, now I want to see.
It's called Raising Marvel. He has like only like 100 something followers, but that sensual seduction song took him to the top.
Raising Marvel about to blow up.
So it's like, which one is it? So it says when mom can me come in. Yeah, it's at 43,000. Up, it's on the top right.
Oh.
You don't have to watch it.
Oh my gosh, she's beautiful.
I'm watching it.
It's like not even that funny. It's like, I don't know why people just love it. It's funny. and that's it. Like, but it's just, I don't know if it's the song. I don't know, but people like love that one for some reason.
That was a delightful part of the episode for the podcast listeners, where not only can y'all not hear the audio that I just heard, but people on the podcast couldn't see or hear what just happens. They're just like, this is a sick, like 20-second silence. we interject those little silent segments to get you to look back and like pay attention, tune back in.
To watch it.
That's good.
All right. So we interrupted Allie like 10 seconds into her
that was my fault.
answer.
I'm sorry.
How dare you interrupt
seeing that
someone on
reel.
this show?
I loved it. I don't remember where I was. Something about Snoop Dogg.
It was, you were saying like going with the
conversations
flow is kind of what rewards you if you're managing social, and if you're doing stuff for like churches, like there's even more like landmines culturally and morally that you got to steer clear of.
Yeah. And I think something I try to like push people, and even how I think about social, is it's like, one, it's like not that serious, which I know is bad from the brand perspective, but I think the brands that win on social are the brands who don't take themselves super seriously. I mean, you even look at like the success of Transformation Church's Instagram, and it's like, you know, you could try to like equate or justify their success, whatever, but it's like, they don't hold themselves to the standard of like, it's like this, it's like, but it's like, they'll do a meme, they'll make fun of themselves. And I love stuff like that. I'm trying to remember why I was talking about Snoop Dogg. I literally have no idea. There was a point, but we tried to use the audio. That's what it was. And we've got a lot of pushback where it's like, no, like the song is literally called Sensual Seduction. I'm like, I know,
even
like,
though there's no like lyrics in the reel, the
and
connection
I was like, we could just like, you make it original audio. You know, you could like do the screen recording thing. And so it's just like, that's what I'm trying to like push on my end, at least, is it's like, yeah,
more
you can
churches
like do
use
the
Snoop Dogg.
trends. Yeah, that's what I'm advocating for, truly. That is my hill I'll die on. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Clarence, how about you?
So I remember I asked Josh to explain this topic for me because I didn't understand.
It's okay. Now, I didn't understand it first either.
But I still, because I remember I did a design for Project Media, which was titled, can you just go to my account because I forgot what design I did for Project Media, which is very bad.
Let me pull it up here. Click on it. Oh, that's the wrong one. I do that every episode now that we have an intro. I share the intro video again. It's fantastic. All right. So we're going to Clarence K.
Yes.
Clarence K Design.
So it's the one with the heart, I think.
This one right here?
No, the one a bit lower. Yeah.
Be grateful the heart is a magnet.
Yeah, be grateful the heart is a magnet for miracles. So a couple of designers also did this, and one designer associated the design to a scripture. Then there was a bit of backlash in the comments. Someone was like, oh, this is not from the Bible. The Bible does not say grateful heart is a magnet for miracles. So which I was like, most of my designs are not entirely based on scripture. It's something that I feel on my heart. And if I feel it on my heart, I will design about it. Yeah. So it was bad for me because I couldn't reply to the person. Their account was private.
Yeah.
But I just wish I could have replied. I wish I could have replied to the person, because sometimes, you know, even the Bible says, my people suffer due to the lack of knowledge. So without understanding the full story, they went on. Then I got a bit of backlash based on that design. The other one was I'm trying to think. Oh, it was a collaboration that I did with Billy Guinan. So the imagery on it, it's a skeleton. I think it's a bit much lower than that.
This guy?
That one.
Oh, that's so good.
I got a bit of backlash because I did a collaboration with this, and it's crazy. But even though in the caption it's written, sometimes you need to be alone to hear and stuff like that. He is a great designer.
Crazy. This is super cool.
I love that graphic.
Yeah, so it feels like what's happening here, guys, is y'all are Instagram famous, and so you get people in the comments who don't know you.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
You got the old dogs like me and I won't call Ashley an old dog.
I mean, I'm the oldest one here. Let's be real.
I mean, sure. But like we've been putting out the stank for a while now, or in Ashley's case, the sauce. Like people know what they're signing up for when you get on our account. Actually, no, you have people hating on your stuff too. So it really is if you go viral and get in front of other people who don't know enough about you and they're just like objectively weighing the thing.
Yeah.
Second hesitation for 13. Love that. Love it.
I mean, I think with like my stuff though, like we've talked about this on previous episodes, like obviously like my work, like I am a Christian, but like it's not like not every single thing I do is like super in your face, like, you know, Bible verse and stuff like that. I always kind of just sprinkle, like, I mean, I think it's more so like I create artwork that represents me as a person. So like things that I love, or even like verses that affect my life, I don't necessarily like quote them exactly. So I think for me, it might like the backlash comes a little bit, but not so much as it did in the beginning. Because I think now people kind of realize like, yeah, she's a believer, but she's not going to always make like a super, you know, Christian picture. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Word.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm realizing that as we go through this thing, we're talking about some, you know, some social situations, but it kind of is bubbling up. You know, as designers, we're part of our job is to push the envelope a little bit. And like, we don't need to, we're not, you know, necessarily going out there like pitching these ideas that just can't work and they're way too nuts. We just need to be like 2% better, just a little bit better. And I think one of the ways that I have found to kind of help balance things, because if you're a creative director at a church, or you're a pastor at a church, and you're like kind of you're doing two things. One, you're listening to your designer, you're listening to your people who are making things, and they've got these fresh, wonderful, wild ideas. And maybe you're like, man, I love your heart, I love the passion, I love the desire here, Allie, to use the Bootylicious song and put skulls on it. But on the other hand, you've had 6 people in your office this week talking about how like offensive it was or whatever else. And so they're trying to hold both things. And one way that I have found to help with like think through their perspective is get around mission. And this is a killer quote that is not original to me. I'm trying to remember. Oh, it's Sally Brazel. So she was one of my youth leaders like a billion years ago. And she says, the medium should never outweigh the message. So the crazy theatrical thing that you do on stage should never be somebody's takeaway from the sermon. Because if it doesn't like push the point forward, if it doesn't like assist in the mission, then it's just, you know, it's just noise. It's just extra decorations, right? And I think that can be said here too. Like I can hear a case for skull makes a ton of sense. It drives home the depth and severity of the point, right? And then other cases we're saying like, I like skulls, and they say I don't like skulls, and so you're doing this. You're butting your heads against each other. But anytime you can get everybody on the same side of the table pointing that way, saying like, okay, what outcome do we want? What do we want somebody to feel about this sermon series or whatever we're talking about, or the video or whatever? And if we want them to feel somber, we want them to feel a little heavy, we want them to feel a little bit like jarring and kind of like get you out of the norm or whatever, then maybe skull's like the best move, right? But then it's not you debating preferences, which is always, you know, then it's just egos and like authority levels kind of coming at each other.
Yeah.
I don't know. That just went on like a 10-minute tirade there, and Ashley had to jump off and go do family mom things. I love this down in the comments. What is a Christian picture though? I didn't even, a graphic can be saved. It can always be saved, and it can even be saved to the cloud. Sling sawdust. That's great. Hannah, have you experienced in your relationship with clients, like for a project, like I would love to hear like some stories of, you know, like the trolls are one thing. Like I frankly don't care a ton what some rando on Instagram like thinks about the design. Like, does it hurt my feelings for 10 minutes? Sure. but like they're not the client. So what about some times where you were able to get like push the envelope and get it approved?
Gosh, all the time, right? That's my job. I really enjoy getting clients out of their comfortability zone. I like to see how far I can push it while maintaining the message and sticking to the brand. Because a lot of times clients, depending on what project, branding or event design, whatever, merchandise, they could be a little more reserved because they have their safe box of like what they're used to. Here's my colors, here's my fonts, here's my logo.
Knowing what sells.
Yeah, and this has worked for me. I'm scared, but then it's my job as a creative to know, like Allie, the trends of today and say, no, but if you take those elements and twist them a little bit, we could propel you a lot further. And that's what I've done with this agency I've been working with from Chicago. It's been like a step-by-step process of trust with building with her. But we took her brand from what she was used to, what she was comfortable with, to something she's proud of. And it's definitely attracting more followers and the people that she's looking for, the actual clients that she's looking for. And her brand feels more cohesive as a whole, just because I said, hey, I get your idea, I get your vision, let me just take it. And building that trust is probably the hardest part. For going against the grain, you can't do that unless you have the trust with your client. So that's fundamental for me. And then I'm able to introduce ideas like, hey, what about this? What about this? And like, oh my gosh, that looks really good. So
I love it.
Yeah.
So I love that. That's a great note. I would love to even talk some more about is what are practical things people can do to build rapport, build trust, build confidence so that you can maybe push the envelope a little bit. And you've already touched on one being just like putting in the reps with the same client, like proving over time that you have their best interests at heart and you're not going anywhere. And like, this is not you experimenting on their account or something. Allie, do you have any other like handles on, ways to build rapport and instill confidence in your clients?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny going from working like in a church staff to working for yourself, because when you work for a church staff, you almost have like the backing of like, no, I went through the process, I got hired, like like the buy-in is automatically there. And then when I decided to go freelance in 2020 in October, I got this client in New York. Literally, the only reason I decided to go freelance was my dog broke his wrist and it was like a very expensive surgery. And so I was like, okay, I gotta like hustle, like let's make some money here. So I just cold called a bunch of people I've done design work for in the past. And this one guy is a pastor in New York. And I was just like, hey, love everything you're doing in the pandemic. Probably should have Googled to make sure that they were still like running. But I was like, you guys are killing it. Like, if you ever need anything, like I'm accepting clients. And he emailed me back and he's like, hey, I actually need somebody to like run my social, like let's talk. And then like 3 days later, he was signed as like my first, client, which is great. But it was crazy to me because I was like, I've never met this guy. I literally like shot in the dark trying to get work. And I was like, cool, here's like your posts for the week. And he's like, yeah, cool. I don't even need to see anything. Like, I trust you. And that was such a weird mind shift for me because it's like, why? And then to me, that was almost like this imposter syndrome of like, nope, like I have to like prove myself. But then realizing one, you need to build trust. You need to show up. You need to deliver above and beyond. But also knowing like if somebody hired you, like the buy-in, most of it's already there. I don't know if that's like the answer you're looking for, but to me, that was like a good reminder, I guess.
Yeah. And I think that there's levels. I think, one is obviously getting the nod to even do the job is one level of confidence. When somebody is like paid you, like that is something. And then the other one is like a step further is like, hey, here's a little bit of a wild idea that maybe you're not ready for, and like getting them to that point. And it's, I would assume a lot of your relationships when you're managing social are kind of an ongoing thing. Like, hey, we get into this deal month in, month out. We get to know each other. I'm helping you build the brand on social. 96% of my stuff is project to project. And there's a good chance, like while I might come in and do, you know, the main church logo and then do 4 other sub-ministry logos, like that happens all the time. Or, you know, I'll come in and do a couple of different projects for a group. I am walking into every room and every situation knowing that this is probably, or this could be the only time I ever work for them. And so I've got to very quickly build confidence to do an important, like, strategic work one time. And I don't have years to like get a leash with these people. Right. And so I've basically got to like front load a lot of that confidence building stuff. And for me, like one of them is having a game plan. Just like if you literally walk into the room and you go, this is something I've done 250 times in the past 3 years. I've been like tweaking it to get it right. And I don't say that because it sounds like real douchey to walk into the room. I know exactly what we're doing, everyone. Listen to me. Like that's not that's not it. But people can sense that. Like they can sense like, oh, this meeting has happened a bunch of times before. If we like, there is a process to trust, I think is one thing that, or one like olive branch you can extend out to them and say, hey, here's an invitation to trust me. I've got more that I want to talk about, but I don't want to gobble up all the time here because I want to hear, Clarence, what you have to add to how do you build confidence with your clients and your peeps?
So basically when I started out, since that it's been 1 year, so I never had any client before. So it was very much confusing, but there's this creative that I watched on YouTube. Her name is Ebiconic, I think that's the name. So it helped very much because I still remember I had a client. My first project was sort of like to create cassette tapes for a client because they were about to drop an album.
Okay.
So it was, for me, it was like a learning process. I was learning along the way, but now I've become very much more confident because when clients approach, they're like, oh, we want this, we want sort of like a mesh design for t-shirts and so on. I'm more confident because I sort of like assert myself in a way, but not too harshly. I just assert myself, and because I have I have a portfolio that I give to the client and I'm like, oh, this is what I've done before. This is the kind of style you're gonna be expecting from me. So they sort of like understand that and allow me to broaden my creativity in whatever they're gonna give me and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's good. Sling has an excellent question down here in the comments. I understand seeing trends and working with them, but how do you stand out and create your own style within that? So yeah, we got to play the game at some level to land clients, or because in Allie's case, your clients are literally hiring you to play the game for them. When I mean the game, talk about the algorithm and following trends effectively. But how do you like do your own version of that? And still stand out? Like that's a pretty nuanced question. Hannah, you want to tackle it first?
Sure. This actually just happened this year. When I went to full-time freelance again in February after leaving an agency job for 2.5 years. At the agency, I was doing whatever the client wanted. Is literally like copy paste. Here we go. We have the pretty much same formula for all the clients, what they want. All the clients are the same, church clients. And pretty much all of them wanted the same stuff. But once I started getting serious about posting on Instagram, which is self-promotion and one of the fastest ways to grow. Since February, I have not reached out to a single client. They've all reached out or found me through Instagram. So
that's a really fun feeling.
It's amazing. And also the Lord, but definitely the best platform to market yourself. And as soon as I started breaking away from, okay, all the clients wanted me to do this, what do I really enjoy creating? Like when I close my software and I'm like, that was it. What is that feeling? Like what is that style? And then repeat in a different way, repeat in a different way. And then follow people that you're also interested in. You're like, I love that. Let me try that too. And then I think it's just trial and error, at least for me. just trying new things and seeing what sits well with you, and then it just evolves. It's kind of like when they say you find your person you're gonna marry, it for me it was kind of like that, just trial and error, and you get that feeling of like accomplishment or fulfillment of like that was a good piece, and you post it, and then people resonate with it, and you're like, oh, okay, maybe this is my niche. So it's really hard because it's kind of like saying, here's the magic formula. And I don't think there is one, because everyone has a different way of creating or their own process. But I think trial and error is always going to be a formula for creatives.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And I think to your point, like there's like once you can define the problem or the thing that the client is, so like you approach it from like, what is exciting and interesting to me? I like stumbled into this because everything I'm doing is like centered around client work. Like I've kind of stopped posting like pet or passion projects several years ago, and it's almost all client work on my feed now. And the kind of one of the ways that I got to that is like, or not to that part of it, but is like starting with the question, like, what does the client need? What is the problem they're trying to solve? And then what is the most interesting answer to that problem? So rather than like you're sidestepping the whole like client likes this style, you like this style, and instead you're approaching it from like, here's the hole we need to fill. What is the coolest ingredients we can put in that hole to get us over the finish line? And I've found through doing that process over and over and over again, and actually other people pointed it out to me. They're like, oh yeah, like this is your style. And I was like, oh, you're right. Like I do end up putting some similar ingredients to fill that up each time. But then there's always that like interesting part that the client adds to the soup there too. But
there's also times like when you market yourself and once you start feeling comfortable or posting your style, that's when clients will come to you because you have a style. They're saying, I like what you're doing. Can you do that for me? And then that's where you, I believe, create career fulfillment. Is because clients are coming to you because you've established a style that you're proud of and that you enjoy creating. And then you're just excited to go work every day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we had Tammy Coker on last week's episode, and some people have like a really tightly defined style, and he's one of them. Or like you could look at his stuff, you're like, oh, this is 100% him, and it's and it is nuts. And there's there's a lot of different ways to do it, but he's a great example of like nailed a style, and now the people want it.
Yeah.
Allie, I forget what the question was. What were we talking about? Oh, how to find your own style while staying in the conversation, staying on trend.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I agree with Hannah. I mean, I think everybody would, because that was just really great. But it's this like awkward push and pull of like, this is what's gonna sell or perform well, and like this is what I want, and it's like this awkward tension in the middle of like, okay, so I want this, the client wants this, or this is what Instagram wants to see, but how can I do that without doing that, if that makes sense? That's kind of the language that we use internally, is like, okay, how can we make it, okay, I'm going to equate it to social. Every church, every Saturday, it's like, hey, get to church tomorrow. And it's so annoying. It's literally the most annoying thing. Like if I see one more carousel, like I'm going to explode. And so it's just like, how can we promote without, oh no, did I cut out?
No, I said because I'm nervous you're going to explode, because you're definitely going to see another carousel like that like very soon.
Oh, I have one scheduled about like in an hour. Like I cannot, like I can't. It's so annoying. But it's like, how can we promote something without it being promotional, or how can we sell something without it looking like we're selling? And I think it is just like that awkward tension of discovering like what works for you or for your client, building that trust so that you can switch it up. So like, yeah, you're like, there's not a magic formula. There's not a solution to it. It's just trial and error. Like, yeah, it sucks, but that's like actually, I feel like the answer.
That is an excellent point. Like you're never, I think there's probably weirdos are the ones that like wake up and they're like, this is my style. And they like know it. Yeah. It really comes from like taking steps down a road and you're like, not quite this, or definitely not this. Ooh, that felt right. Like you just kind of bump along. And the people that, in my opinion, like without fail, the people that have a defined style, like they've taken 10,000 steps down the road.
Mm-hmm.
And so like there is no shortcut in a lot of cases. Like some people like bump into it sooner. But I guarantee if we scrolled through Hannah's feed like 200 posts ago, it would probably look pretty different from what she's posting today.
Yes.
Because she's like kind of had this process of discovery, and the same thing is true. You know, obviously it's a pretty black and white like example for us as, you know, freelancers or like solopreneurs or like businesses when we're like discovering this for ourselves. But for a church or for an organization, that process, you still need to do that process. You've still got to try it on for size, but instead of one person deciding and feeling this thing, you're then like, you might have multiple heads at the table going like, okay, what is our brand? We need to define the brand. We need to define what we do and what we never do. And then, okay, now what does that look like on TikTok? Okay, what does that look like in printed material? And it is difficult to do well. And it's why I think we see it so rarely, especially in, you know, smaller church organizations, because like a lot of people aren't even doing that first step of defining like, who are we? And then how does that translate?
Yeah.
Clarence, how do you blow up and become Instagram famous? Because you're following the algorithms, but you also are like balance staying on trend, but also figuring out your own style.
Well, I wish I had the answer on how to blow up on Instagram.
Don't we all? I mean, Allie and Hannah might, but I feel like I'm bumping around in the dark most of the time.
But like, I feel like you should try everything, because I remember when I started out, I was just designing each and everything that I saw on YouTube, because that's how I learned how to design, from watching videos on YouTube. And consistently, I was just designing from YouTube and posting it on Instagram, designing from YouTube and posting it on Instagram. So eventually, because now I think I'm starting to walk more into my own style, which is the illustrative side of things rather than the Photoshop side of things. So I think the only way to find your style is pretty much try out everything, because you never know what pops, and you never know what you fall in love with along the line and stuff like that.
That's great. And I also think career-wise, it's great to try on a bunch of different hats, because there have been times where, you know, maybe I'm having a slow month, or you know, I've got an opportunity to do some work on something interesting, but it's copywriting. It's not logo design. Now, do I advertise that I do copywriting? Do I talk about it on my website? Do I actively pursue that work? No. Can I do it? Yes, because that's from way back in the day. I've done other stuff. And so it's nice to either supplement your income, or it's tools in your tool belt for when you need to work on stuff for yourself, like having other design styles, or having like, hey, I can run an ad campaign and I can draw a picture, or I know how to shoot photos. Like, I wish I had that muscle. I never developed the photo video muscle, but boy, kicking myself now. So yeah, like, and so there's multiple advantages of just starting, just trying stuff out and going down that road. You'll find your style. You'll develop some other tools along the way. So when somebody does say, hey, we really need this type of graphic done, like we're going to die if we don't have like 3D ice text for our sermon series. It's just like, I've already done that YouTube tutorial. Nobody likes it anymore. I don't post it anymore, but I've done it. Cam says your light review video says otherwise. Yeah, that thing was a piece of flaming garbage. I did a review on the lights that I'm actually using for this this video right here. And Cam, Reflexio Digital Storytelling, in the comments razzed me about it pretty hard because he is an actual videographer, and he's like, dude, this is the worst review video I've ever seen in my life. I'll drop a link for everybody to watch it down here.
You have to.
It's a real treat, guys. Let me tell you. Cool. Let's talk. Oh, there's us live on YouTube over here. Let's talk about. Let's get a little bit more granular. Granular grains. Let's talk about like in a specific project. Like, let's say you're humming along, and you've got an idea, and then you're like, this feels out of place, or like times or places where like, do you have a process for that? Or is it usually like a harebrained thing that you're chasing, Hannah, when you're like, this shirt needs a tiger? Like, how do you arrive at that?
Trial and error. I mean, that's kind of the basis, you know? Actually my art board or canvas in whatever digital landscape I'm working on, it's usually messy, like so messy, because I have font combination here, just because I'm trying things and seeing what looks good together. I am able to now that I'm familiar with my massive font library, be able to like go through and see like, okay, this is a style I need. Let me see which ones that match that style and then put them together. And you just, you know, and that doesn't come without practice. That comes with knowing your tools, knowing what's in your library, knowing what assets you're able to pull, and also have a vision from the beginning of what you're trying to implement. What is the message I'm trying to convey? What symbolism do I want to represent that message? And what is the style that pulls everything together? So all those elements are able to create a complete composition, and that's when the success and the magic happens.
Wow, well put. And I also just realized that we talked about like, how do you develop your own style, or like, you know, figure out some of these things. Like it's through iteration. And then I asked the same question on like a smaller scale, and the answer is actually the same. It's still iteration, because I forget, like, yeah, my Illustrator board. First of all, I'm a big proponent of this. If your art space is not a hot mess while you're working, you're not working hard enough.
Yeah.
And so like if you open up one of my Illustrator files, like I've got the organized clean thing that I send off, but like while I'm working, it's the same thing. It's like minor differences in font choices, like copied over 16 times. And then like but it's that same thing of like, you're just doing it by yourself over the course of 2 hours instead of publicly over the course of 2 years. You're saying like, does this work? Almost. No, that definitely doesn't work. This does, but this one feels like it's off balance. Something's not here. And so you're working through that process. And when you get in that zone space, I don't know, people have different names for it, but when you like lose track of time and it's just like, you're just in the zone cranking stuff out. Like that's when those ideas, you're like, what if we put like a little faucet for a sink on this thing? Like, why does it make sense? Like, will the client buy into it? I don't care about that right now. I just want to see what this looks like. And you're like, oh, that's nice. That's real different. You know what I mean? And that's how you arrive at tiger illustrations on the t-shirt.
Exactly. And it works.
I love it. All right. We got a question down here. Do any of you guys use Canva? I want to do the round robin and talk about Canva, and I will go last. Hannah, what's your lightning notes on Canva?
You know, I have a little bit of beef with Canva.
Uh-oh.
I mean, it's the same thing with someone like the Adobe programs that are coming out of like, everybody's a graphic designer. You know, it's putting some people out of jobs and saying everyone can do it. And I understand if you don't have a budget to afford a designer, you can't pay a designer well, or a content creator or a social media manager. Like if you don't have the resources to do that, then Canva or those DIY design platforms are really helpful. And I think that's what we were primarily there for. However, I think now everyone's like, I'm a digital creator or I am a creative. And I'm like, but are you really? Because we dedicate our whole lives to this stuff. And we believe that, I mean, most of us who have a career in this field believe that there's a calling for that. And we do things with purpose and with intention. And I feel like Canva just disses that a little bit. It's just like, it is a tool on one hand, but at the same time, it does push more to the side of like, we're going to do it ourselves and who cares what it looks like. And I think quality suffers because you're not going to have all the tools that you have in an Adobe platform or Procreate. and everything's pre-made. So everything's also going to look the same. You're not going to really have original work. So yeah, those are my 2 cents. But I have used Canva, and it is a tool for those who need it.
I like that. Canva is a tool. There it is. Allie, what are your thoughts on Canva?
I mean, like, same. I think it's great for the in-between. If you're in a pinch, you need something really quick and you don't have access to these tools or a person who can do it, fantastic, use it. But I think the caveat of Canva is it's like, you can tell it was made in Canva. Like, it's all of those, the tan fonts, you can just tell, which is, if that's your vibe, that's great, run with it. But if you're like going for something that's like more polished, professional, I think that's where you get a professional in the conversation. But I also like, we've been working on like creating templates for churches, because I also understand not every church can hire, you know, somebody on the side to do their social. So it's like, oh, let's sell templates. But it's like, oh, like they might not know how to use Photoshop. So I'm also like digging myself into the Canva hole of like, which I don't know why. I'm like, I feel like Canva is so confusing to me because I use Adobe. So I'm also trying to learn how to use Canva. So I'm a liar, essentially.
I love it. It reminds me of, I don't know if you guys played like Guitar Hero back in the day. You'll remember that video game?
Yes.
So I picked it up after I'd been playing guitar for like 3 years, and I got immensely frustrated because like I'm used to, you know, more nuance and like the fingers do lots of things, and here it's distilled down to 4 buttons. And so like muscle memory had to be relearned. It's kind of the same experience I have in Canva. It's like, where's that tool? Oh, that tool doesn't exist here. Yeah. Oh, but this is easier. And like, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clarence, what do you feel about Canva?
Well, I've never used Canva, but I don't like Canva. Canva reminds me
of, don't want to know it. I hate it.
No, it reminds me of Adobe Express.
Yeah.
I think they're similar, aren't they? I haven't actually opened Adobe Express.
Yeah, it reminds me of Adobe Express. It's so frustrating. But if you're under a budget, then it's good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. In my typical splashy contrarian way that I throw up these questions, I disagree with all of you. I think that Canva is a great tool for what it is. And so I want to argue 2 points here. One is the Canva is cheapening the industry and putting designers out of business. If what a CFO at a mid-sized company is able to crank out on his or her phone on Canva, and that is putting you out of work because the work is comparable to what you're doing as a designer, you need to explore other job opportunities or get better. So I think talent will always speak for itself. Cream will always rise. If somebody says like, if somebody like straight faced looks at me and says like, hey Josh, you know, our 13-year-old made this on their phone in Canva, and then here's Clarence's design. I think they both look good. Why would we pay for Clarence's to go on the t-shirt? I would say you don't want that person as a client because they're crazy and they.
Did he freeze?
I think so. They are crazy. I'd agree.
My back.
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay. I don't know where I cut out at, but basically I've got lots of clients that their team uses Canva, and I encourage it because I say, hey, you've got a volunteer team. They've got some great resources, and you don't have the, you know, you got a 17-year-old that doesn't have, you know, you're not paying for the Adobe suite. They don't have a MacBook. They've got a phone and a decent eye for stuff. This is a great baby step way to get in there. And it is a good tool for that in-between stuff like you're talking about. So maybe I'm not as contrarian as you're saying.
Yeah, no, I said the same exact thing. Like, you're on a budget constraint, you're using volunteers and all that. Absolutely. Like, Canva is a tool and should be used as such. However, for your argument regarding the comparing of the two designers, like someone made it themselves in Canva versus the other person, I think that it's not the sense of like, you should be looking for other clients. Like, while I agree with that, Like, those aren't the clients you're supposed to be working with. You want someone who values your work and your time.
Yeah.
And success. My point at the sense of like it's taking over the industry was the fact that it quite literally is just making people cheapen design. It just cheapens the craft. It's not the sense of like, hey, I want to work with you because I think that I can do the same thing, but you should pay me. It's more of, no, what you're doing isn't what I can do, and you don't understand that. And people will just ignore it. And people say, well, it's cheaper. It's cheaper. Look at the finances, you know.
Yeah.
And so they'll then opt to pay designers less, or have the expectation that designers need to be paid less because they have Canva, and that's what they're used to, and that's what they're familiar with. So
you're saying like big picture culture wise, similar to like fast food is making us impatient, like Canva is making us cheapen design as a deal here. And I've heard similar arguments with like, oh, well, now that, you know, nice cameras are less than $2,000, you know, every mom with a camera is putting photographers out of business. Like, we got a nice camera, we got nice phones, but I still pay a good chunk of money for family photos because I respect the craft of like what that person is doing.
And obviously, you need to pursue those clients. Like, those are the clients that everything's going to work out better for everybody. And those are the people you want to work with anyway. And the only people you will work with. But I'm just saying there are instances where people are like, I can do it myself, so why would I hire you? Or this person charges so much less because they use Canva and they're not paying for all these big software programs. So why would I hire you? I think that in a sense just discredits some creators in that realm. So.
I love arguing on the show. We haven't actually gotten into any like true like controversy yet, and this is great because I think there's a ton of people that 100% back you up and are in line with what you're saying, and I think there is some merit to what you're talking about. I also just have seen so many times where I am the second or third hire in a project or a situation. They said, yeah, we've tried the DIY route. We know what that feels like now. We're ready for real help.
Yeah.
Or they say like, you know, just fill in the blank. So, and Cam has a question down here. How do you educate clients on the necessity? Oh, guys, I just realized we're going against the grain on this episode. There's some friction on the episode. Wow. Look at that. Meta. Cam's asking, how do you educate clients on the necessity of higher quality design that don't have an eye or can't tell the difference? And my answer is kind of dovetails with what I've been saying here. You don't. If they're like, why on earth would I pay you for this thing? I say, if you don't see the difference, then like kindly, politely, professionally, if you can't tell the difference, like this might not be the best fit for you. Here are some cheaper options. I can introduce you to them. Like that's literally the answer that I send people. And sometimes those people come back a year later. Hannah, what's your answer to how do you educate clients?
I agree. Like you said, sounds good to me.
I would say it depends on how it depends on if I'm trying to force feed them or if they are asking me. Because if they're like trying to understand, I will spend all day walking somebody through the differences and things we're looking at or why this is a good choice and this is a bad choice if they're genuinely asking. But if they're not asking and they've said, I don't want to hire you, that seems expensive, or I don't like your idea, I want to do a different idea, I'm not going to like wrestle my way into like changing their mind because you're not going to change that mind.
Yeah.
Allie?
I mean, I think the cool thing about like working in social is the numbers are there and they're in front of everybody. Well, I guess not everybody if you're like in the account, but so it's like for me, because I've had conversations with clients where it's like, well, you know, like we had a volunteer, we could do this. And it's like, for sure. But you also grew X amount, you know, since we've been working together in this. So I think like presenting like the actual facts, I know that's not necessarily the same with design. Like, hey, actually like 4 more people got saved when we had this on the screens versus this. But it's like to be able to present like the facts to them, that's always been really helpful for me. But I also agree with what you're saying. It's like if that conversation comes up, that's usually a red flag, and maybe it's like, okay, maybe I'm not the best solution for you then, which is fine because I'm the solution for somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the big kicker here is don't waste your breath trying to change people's mind. Just keep knocking
Right.
on doors and keep meeting people until you do find. And the crazy thing is too, is like once you find good clients, they refer you to other people who think and have budgets and have needs similar to theirs.
Yeah.
Clarence, my guy.
So for me, I just think I'll take this from a logo point of view, right? Just standing out and being out of the box. Sort of like, obviously on Canva, everything is templates. We just put the text and stuff like that. But I feel like when it comes to work that's more manipulated and more creative and work that can be differentiated from someone else's work, that's what I just try and show in what I do to the clients and stuff like that, because you can get a designer who's using Canva and probably I can do the same thing in Photoshop, and if I go on Canva, I can do it twice as fast and twice as easy.
Yeah.
But like just having something that sets you apart as a brand or as a person is much better.
Yeah. I think that's great. And I think that like showing the customization. So we talked about like building confidence so that you can make some of those braver choices. I've had this come up in projects where somebody says, hey, we've gone down this road on 99 Designs or Fiverr. Like we've already tried to get our logo designed and we really love this one. And they'll send me the file. And I think those two things are also examples of like things that some would argue are cheapening the craft, but I would argue I don't want the work that's going to 99 Designs. And I think it is a good like first step for people. And I think that the creative needs are expanding. Like I think that especially after the pandemic, more and more eyeballs are on what are we doing on social? We need to actually have like better quality creative. Millennials are coming into authority places and tend to care more about that than the previous generation. And so I think that the needs are growing and the solutions are growing. The creative freelance community, the like people who say, I want to be a creator, are like that industry is like 3X now. And so like tools are going to blow up and like platforms like 99 Designs, like those have a little like sliver of that. So I'm not worried about like job security side of things. But Clarence, what you were talking about is, proving to somebody like the difference in what you're getting. Because sometimes people say like, okay, truly educate me. Tell me the difference between these two things. I want to know. And like what I've done is I pulled up the thing in 99 Designs that they sent me and said, yeah, that's cool. We can work with this, but I need to clean up some things because look at all these anchor points. Like this thing is not, and I would have like all the little measuring sticks say this thing isn't measured out correctly because they took 15 minutes to do it. And that's how you could afford to like get them to do it. So like, let me fix all that stuff. And like, that's kind of the same thing, like a good carpenter coming in and like shoring up a structure. Like, okay, like we have to fix this thing before we can put any weight on it. And I think that clients, when they see you like spotting the details, are you saying things like, hey, this thing is a rastered image. It's not going to scale. We have to do it in Illustrator. What's Illustrator? Oh, well, that's the thing that I pay for that is a professional resource. And, again, like if they're on a curious journey or trying to understand, like those are types of things, like show them the work, show them how you arrived at some of these things. And that'll help build some of that confidence. All righty, gang. It's time to wind this puppy down for the day, but we're going to do a new segment. We've never done this before. Are y'all down to be some guinea pigs?
Yes.
Why not?
I love it. Why not? All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually doodle live in the episode. I'm going to think of some kind of pithy name for it. But we're going to take 90 seconds and we're going to make a hush, Siri. We're going to make it 1 minute because that's what I've got pulled up here. And we're going to actually design a doodle for the episode. So it's against the grain. Hannah, this was your kind of idea. What would it be like a little like log or like a piece of plywood or something? Or like what is the icon doodle for today's episode? What are we drawing?
Let's go for a grain of rice.
A grain of rice. How am I going to doodle that?
A grain of rice that has, upon more members, has a big impact.
Okay. We're drawing some rice. All right. So you got, that is your prompt where the theme is going against the grain, and there's got to be rice in it somewhere. You got 60 seconds. They all have Sharpies and a piece of paper, so I can share on screen. I'm going to be doing mine in Illustrator using my Wacom tablet. Wacom? I don't know. And I don't ever know what it is, but let me pull my thing up here. Window, episode 11 doodle. All right. Can you all see my guy here? Mm-hmm. Yes, you can. All right, cool. Drawing a rice. We got 1 minute. Let me make sure my thing is still in the appropriate drawing mode. Get fatter nib than this. All right, so this is another thing, is the context where this might be used is an episode cover, and it could be really small. So I want you guys to draw fat, okay? Like we're drawing an icon here, not a detailed illustration. All right, everybody ready for your rice drawing activity?
Yes.
Set, go. This is what I haven't figured out is, am I going to talk during this whole thing to make it a better experience for... This looks terrible. That makes this so much better. Yeah. This is... What? A grain of rice? I'm gonna do some chopsticks in here, maybe. This is terrible. Well, we got 15 seconds, guys.
Oh my God.
On future episodes, I'm thinking about making this an all draw. So like the audience would also pull out their paper and draw it and then email me the stuff, and all the artworks make it into the episode. All right, pencils down. You guys see this masterpiece? I love it. I love it.
Are we done?
Oh, we're done, baby. We're all done.
That's crazy.
This is really bad.
All right, now, so everybody got to see my.
I was focused on the text.
Mess.
I was focused on the text.
Oh,
you added text?
Yeah,
that's way
I
better.
was still on the text.
I love it. All right, show me what you got, though. There's no wrong answers. Oh, he's a little rice guy. That's so nice.
Hannah's a pro.
Hannah's is
I didn't even get
delightful.
anywhere.
Allie, what you got?
Okay,
It's
not
all-
as cute, but he's against the green.
Oh, little wild rice.
Little wild rice.
He's the little, was the black swan or the ugly duckling? What's it called?
Well, you know, like this sweater. I've been watching a lot of The Crown. The sweater that Princess Diana wears, where it's all the sheep, but then there's one black sheep.
Yeah.
That was the inspo for this. This is my Diana.
My wife
moment.
would know exactly what you're talking about because I hear about it like secondhand, but I don't know
Great show.
she's a big Diana fan. All right,
Yeah.
Clarence.
Oh my God.
So yeah, this is gonna be the worst one. Just for context, I was gonna do the text, then I was gonna put it in a bowl.
Oh, he's already sketching
I
out.
love
that's
it.
cool.
Oh.
See, this man had he had a 4-minute illustration, and we only had hot girls for you in the chats. We've never had this before. Get out, abort. No one click whatever links they send, please. Cool, guys. Well, thank you all so much for your time. This has been another fantastic episode. If y'all could all email me your artworks so I can include it in the episode cover, I think that'll be a delightful little addition and get everybody's little personality too. After today, I'm really excited to do more of this because like even in what we just saw, like we saw 4 different personalities. Ashley had to run and go get a kid, but she was excited about doing this as well. But guys, that's going to be a wrap for today. Huge shout out to all of our guests for the episode. As always, we'll have their links down below. Go give them a follow, hire them for a project. And then tune in weekly, Fridays, live at 1 p.m. for what you just experienced. And then we've also got the podcast on Apple and Spotify, and those puppies drop. We're still working through the cadence, but it's probably Mondays or Tuesdays of the week. Like, subscribe, and share a link to the episode with one friend. Until next week, adios.